Okay, not many people in my generation, the millennial generation, will have ever been heard of or been taught about the last corruption, widespread corruption investigation of public elected officials like members of Congress. And for example, like we have corrupted elected officials and appointed officials here in Minnesota. But that investigation, it was called AB scam, and that was conducted by the FBI. Okay, if you remember the movie American Gangster, okay, did you remember how many police officers and DE agents and all walks of life were involved with that corruption? It was kind of like that. The movie was kind of based up around that in a funny way. But Abscam, conducted by the FBI in the 1980s, it was a multi-year, like almost a decade-long investigation, okay, to get these undercovers in place without being noticed, and then to get them to be able to accumulate enough hard evidence to take down these corrupted officials. It ended up taking down members of Congress, DE agents, police officers, okay? And it was headline news back in the day, okay? Everybody was very happy with the FBI then, because it was what the working class people, the people who are not part of this fraud, who actually go to work every day and they see their tax dollars being wasted on fraud by all of our elected officials in the Minnesota State House, Minnesota Department of Education, Department of Health, Department of Human Services, Housing, the food programs. You see all of our money being literally pissed down the drain, right? So these type of Americans, back when the Abscam investigation was going, were very happy with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They were literally writing them love letters, thanking them for their hard work. After these congressmen got arrested and these politicians, corrupt police officers all got arrested, and the newspapers actually reported on it, people were very happy, okay? But as we all know this, in the United States, that we have this thing called innocent until proven guilty, which in this state, in the state of affairs we're in right now, it should be guilty until proven innocent. That's how bad the corruption is spiraled out of control, okay? So the trial went on for these congressmen. They were all let go. They were all let off by one Judge Bryant. I forget his first name, but he said that they violated the Constitution. Said the FBI violated, that was his basic legal reasoning, which, no, they didn't violate the Constitution. These people violated the public's trust, and they violated actual laws, which the FBI had hard evidence of. They had video evidence of them taking bribes. They had audio recordings of them taking bribes, DEA agents taking drugs, money, all this hard evidence that if you're just listening to it as an everyday person, yeah, they should go to jail for that. They should go to prison. But again, the judge let them off, because judges are easily bribed as well. And that's why Judge Bryant let them off. So nobody was actually really held accountable except for a few of the police officers and the DE agents. The members of Congress, they were all let go. Okay? So think about, 1980s was the last public corruption investigation ever in the United States. So think of how much public corruption has spiraled out of control. And not just at Congress, not just in our state legislatures, not just in our state departments of education, health, housing. Okay, it's spiraled all the way down to the bottom of society. Okay, to the point where it's like, if you can't beat them, let's join them. And that is the state of affair of America right now. There's this book I read called Enemies, The History of the FBI. Chapter 12 is To Strangle the United States Within, which we've basically done. Okay, adults in this country who are part of this fraud, who have families and small businesses, they've lost the ability to tell right from wrong. So it's not just fraud either that is being investigated. There's a lot of young minor children that are a part of this fraud investigation, in illicit goods and drugs moving around elected officials with young children, okay, that nobody wants to deal with. Okay, there's no heavyweight challenger to go challenge these heavyweight fraudsters. And there hasn't been in America since the 1980s. So it's hard for people to even want to speak up about this, who are in some of these agencies, who are not part of it, because they saw what happened to Melissa Hortman. They saw what happened to a lot of people that have spoken up about it. Okay, so they see it as it's not worth the risk to do the right thing. I'd rather stay silent. Well, then stuff's going to keep spiraling out of control. Fraud's going to continue to grow. Child trafficking is going to continue to grow. Drugs on our streets will continue to grow. If people sit by and do nothing. Okay. Now, not only does the fraud in Minnesota involve elected and appointed officials in the state house, judicial courtrooms, law offices, law firms, medicine, medical boards, doctors, okay, because it's Medicaid, right? But it also involves churches. You'd be surprised. Somebody who you wouldn't think would need to be involved with fraud, okay, because they get money from their congregation. No, it's everybody in Minnesota sees the money is flowing, so they want a part of it. So I want people to understand that. Just ask yourself the simple question. If the last public corruption investigation was done in the 1980s, and there has not been one ever since, a large one, even attempted, how bad do you think something like that could grow out of control or spiral out of control? It's like a disease, a virus, okay? Corruption. And it's gotten so bad that it's corrupted our Minnesota Bureau of Criminal BCA. It's corrupted local police departments, okay? To the point where, again, they all have the motto, if you can't beat them, join them. Okay, and I've witnessed it, I've experienced it, I've felt it firsthand in my life. Okay, not even speaking up about fraud, I was speaking about police corruption. Okay, and they will come after you. They'll pull you over whenever they want. They'll do whatever they want. So I want people to understand that. I want you to do this. Go look up Abscam. Go look how long ago that was, and ask yourself that question. How much could fraud and corruption spiral out of control from public office all the way to the working class people, from top to bottom? Think of it as like from the White House all the way down to your local community and church. That's how bad it's spiraled out of control. Okay, and there's people that are not a part of this, but it kind of feels like when you're going after this stuff, especially if you're like a federal agency right now, it's like the 99.99% versus the 0.01%, and in the 99.99% are the criminals, and that's who you're up against. Kind of like wherever you go, they're like everywhere. Because again, they have a lot of money and free time and spare time, so they can be everywhere. Be driving around, lollygagging all day, seeing what you're doing. And that's kind of how it works. So I love y'all. Have a great day. I hope people who are adults in this country, who are in positions of power, you might be part of this, you decide to grow a conscience soon and turn yourself in. Okay? And it kind of helped America get back to what it used to be, I guess. Kind of not fraudulent. Have a great day.